Good evening, everyone. Do join quickly. Just a minute. Yes, do join for this CUT. I hope you're all well. Please do join. Okay. Am I clearly audible to everyone? Am I clearly audible to everyone? Okay. Okay. Thank you. So, how are you all? I think everyone is fine. And we can begin here this mock test session as well. Okay. An Indo-English poet once remarked that his disciplines and his education gave him his outer form, whereas the Indian origin, first 30 years in India and knowledge of Kannada, Tamil, give him his inner, that is the outer form and the inner form. Okay, his disciplines and his education gave him outer form as well as the Indian origin, and his knowledge about Kannada and Tamil gave him his inner form. Who said this? A.K. Ramanujan, Kamala Das, Salman Rushdie. Salman Rushdie. Okay, A.K. Ramanujan, Kamala Das, Salman Rushdie, and Manohar Malagankar. Disciplines A.K. Ramanujan. Exactly, Strengths A.K. Ramanujan. Hmm. Outer form and inner form. Very good. We have Muskan, exactly. We have a novel uh, that in which novel an Indian wife is killing her husband. Okay, got it. There was three as well. An Indian wife is killing her husband. Okay, that is one of the novel of Anita Desai. Which novel is this? In which novel of Anita Desai, uh, we find that an Indian wife is actually killing her husband. Okay, voices in the city, in custody, Cry the Peacock. Exactly, Strangsi. Cry the Peacock is actually a psychological novel that is by Anita Desai, who has never won Pulitzer Prize. Maya is the protagonist. Cry the Peacock. Exactly, there was three strengths. Everyone is right. Very good. Okay, very good. And here is a refrain. Okay, everyone is right. This is the machine age. This is the machine age. We are the men who will master it. Okay, this is the machine age, son. We are the men who will master it. Okay, so in which novel we find this refrain? The hero, that is Anand, is singing this refrain. This is the machine age, sons. This is the machine age. Okay, we are the men who will master it. And the hero is actually Anand. And who is the author here and what is the name of the novel? That is, I'm telling you, the author is Mulgraj Anand, and the novel is actually The Big Heart. Remember that The Big Heart is the novel. Okay, The Big Heart by Mulgraj Anand. Okay, who was the first recipient of Sahitya Academy Award for English literature? First recipient of Sahitya Academy Award. Big Heart. Exactly, Mahi. The first recipient of Sahitya Academy Award for English literature. R. K. Narayan. For his novel, for which novel? 1960. Yeah. Hmm. Easy one. Hmm. We have the guide. We have novels like A Bend in the Ganges. Then we have Distant Drums, Devil's Wind, A Combat of Shadows. Okay, A Bend in the Ganges. Then we have Distant Drums, Devil's Winds, A Combat of Shadows. These are works by Manohar Malgankar. Very good, Strangsi, Neetu, everyone. It is actually by Manohar Malgankar. Well done. The poem that is our Kazurina tree actually influenced by which romantic poet? Tadudar was influenced by which romantic poet when she wrote the poem Our Casuarina Tree? Poet had influenced Keats, exactly. Keats had influenced. Very good. Hmm. The works like The Lake of Palms, A History of Civilization of Ancient India, and The Slave Girl of Agra. These are works by whom? Manmohan Ghosh, Ramesh Chandra Dutt. The Lake of Palms, A History of Civilization of Ancient India, The Slave Girl of Agra. No, The Lake of Palms, A History of Civilization. These are all works by Ramesh Chandra Dutt. ठीक है? Got it? Which kind of poem is Edward Lear associated with? Edward Lear, you all know. Which kind of poem is Edward Lear associated with? Nature, epics, sonnets, nonsense. Edward Lear is associated with nonsense. Edward Lear. Okay? Nonsense, exactly. In Coleridge's poem, that is The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, in that poem, the three gallants were going to which place? The three gallants, they were going to which place? In Coleridge's poems, we have the famous poem that is The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. There were three gallants, and they were going to a funeral, a wedding, market, or to the races. Where were they going actually? A funeral, a wedding, market. They were going to a wedding. Okay, they are going to a wedding. Hmm. Marriage. Nitu, exactly. Okay. Okay. We have Tarudat, we have Ramesh Chandra Dutt, we have Aravinda Ghosh. All of them wrote on one common theme taken out from Mahabharata. Identify the story that influenced them or they found irresistible. Tarudat, Ramesh Chandra Dutt, Aravinda Ghosh. All they wrote on one common theme taken out exactly Savitri. Taken out from the Mahabharata, Nitu exactly Savitri. And Savitri is having 24,000 lines, isn't it? Satyavan and Savitri, exactly. Exactly. 24,000. Aurobindo's Savitri is longer than Browning's The Ring and the Book. Browning's Ring and the Book is having 21,000 lines, whereas Aurobindo's Savitri is having 24,000 lines. This is an epic magnum opus by Aurobindo Ghosh, that is Savitri, which are highly influenced by French Romanticism, French language, and literature. Your options are Ramesh Chandra Dutt, Manohar Malgankar, Michael Madhusudan Dutt, and Taru Dutt. इनमें से कौन सा राइटर was highly influenced by French Romanticism, French, exactly, French language and literature? Taru Dutt was the right answer. Exactly, Mahi, Neetu, everyone. We have a character called Grigor Samsa. Okay, that is one of the famous character of a short story. In which short story we find, or we can find the character Metamorphosis. That is Grigor Samsa. Very good. Metamorphosis. That is the who wrote that? Kafka's. Kafka's Metamorphosis. Very good. Very good. Everyone. Mahi, Nitu Mahi. Shreyansi, Kafka. Very good. Hmm. Now, which poet is considered as a national hero in Greece? John Keats, Lord Byron, Sappho, and Robert Sadi. Which poet is actually considered a national hero in Greece? Yeah, exactly, Mahi. Who said that Byron? Yeah, exactly. Byron is the right answer. Byron. Byron is considered a national hero in Greece. Which poem ending, which sonnet of Shakespeare is ending with "I shall but love thee better after death"? How do I love thee? Is it how do I love thee? Ending with "I shall but love thee better after death." Okay, that is Shakespeare's work. Remember that. Santiago is a character appeared in which novel? Santiago. Is it? No, no. How do I love thee? Exactly. Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Santiago is a character, the old man and the sea. Yeah, yesterday we had discussed Nitu. We have Willy Loman. Santiago is the old man. Santiago, that is from the old man and the sea. We have a character called Willy Loman from American literature. Okay. Willy Loman character appeared in Manol, exactly, Manolin. Setting was Cuba actually of the old man and the sea. Uh, those who are watching and enjoying the quick mock test session, please don't forget to like the session as well. Yeah, we have the character Willy Loman, that appeared in that work, in that Death of a Salesman. Hmm. Hmm. Willy Loman. Very good. What was very strange about Emily Dickinson? Hmm. She rarely left home. She rode in court. She never attempted to publish her poetry and she wrote her poems in invisible ink. She rarely left home. Exactly, Nitu. Strange about Emily Dickinson. Hmm. Rupert Brooke. No, only that she rarely left home. That was the actually strange about Emily Dickinson. Saying see, Rupert Brooke, you all know, wrote his poetry during which conflict? World War One, World War Two, Korean War. Rupert Brooke was writing his poetry World War One, First World War. Nitu, exactly. Hmm. We have a famous poem called Mahi, actually, the Isle of Innisfree, the Lake Isle of Innisfree. Okay, who wrote this poem? Who wrote this from the Lake Isle of Innisfree? Yeah, in her poem, exactly, she does not publish her own work. William Butler Yeats, got it, Swansea. William Butler Yeats, Isles of Innisfree. Hmm. Very, very beautiful poem, William Butler Yeats. Okay. Applying human qualities to non-human things is known as personification, alliteration, onomatopoeia. Applying human qualities to non-human things is known as onomatopoeia, alliteration, personification. Personification. Very good. Easy one. A comparison of unlike things without using a word of comparison such as like or as. Without using, there is an implicit comparison, indirect comparison between two unlike things is known as metaphor, simile, personification. There is an implicit comparison between two unlike things, that is without the use of, such as like, that is a metaphor. Okay. If I say she is a tigress, if I say she is a tigress, then she is being compared with tigress. So there is no direct comparison, isn't it? So implicit comparison is made. That's metaphor. She looks like a tigress, that is actually simile. Okay, the comparison of unlike things using words like and such, that is actually simile. Okay, using words or letters to imitate sound is known as, when we are using words or letters to imitate any sound, that is known as alliteration, simile, and onomatopoeia. Which one is the right answer? Using words or letters to imitate sounds. Alliteration, simile, onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. Whenever we are imitating using words and letters, that is known as onomatopoeia. Exactly, Srangsi Mahi, everyone. A description of a description that appeals to one of the five senses. Like we have visual, then olfactory. So imagery, personification, and metaphor. A description that appeals to one of the five senses is known as imagery, personification, metaphor. That is actually imagery. We have visual imagery. We have exactly olfactory imagery. A poem that tells a story with plot, setting, and characters. A poem that tells a story with plot, setting, and characters is known as lyric, free verse, narrative. Everyone was right. Now answer this question. A poem which is describing a story with plot and setting and characters is known as narrative poem. Hmm. Who was the father of free verse in American literature? Who was the father of free verse in American literature? Narrative, got it. Everyone right. Father of free verse in American literature. That is Walt Whitman. Exactly, Chandrasekhar. Walt Whitman, father of free verse in American literature. Very good. Who wrote the first book of poems that is called the Colossus, that was published in the year 1960? The Colossus, that was actually first published book of poems published in 1960. Who wrote this? Elizabeth Bishop, Sylvia Plath, Marianne Moore, Laura Jackson. The Colossus. The Colossus is a work by the wife of Ted Hughes, that is Sylvia Plath. Hmm. Who wrote the only novel, that is the Bale Jar. Sylvia Plath has written. No, no. Sylvia. The Colossus is a work by Sylvia Plath. Got it? Hmm. Mrs. Ramsay. Okay. Mrs. Ramsay is a character. Appear in which novella Virginia Woolf? Mrs. Ramsay is a character appeared in which novel of Virginia Woolf? Mrs. Ramsay. To the lighthouse. Exactly. To the lighthouse. Neetu, Strangsi, Neetu. Everyone is right here. Molly Bloom. Okay. Molly Bloom is a character in James Joyce's novel. Which novel features the character Molly Bloom, published in the year 1922? And will you please write down why this year 1922 is very important? 1922. Ulysses. Yeah, in Ulysses, we have the character Molly Bloom, published in 1922 and 1922. In 1922, major works were actually published. Okay, in 1922, like which other works? The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot was also published in the year 1922. We have Ulysses also published in 1922. Yeah. Hmm. We have an important character called Stephen Dedalus. Okay, that is by James Joyce. Which work is featuring Stephen Dedalus? Which work of James Joyce is featuring the character Stephen Dedalus? Published in the year the portrait of artist of a young portrait of the artist as a young man, published in 1916. Everyone is right here. Very good. 1916 exactly. Hmm. Who is been called as the romantic critic? The first romantic critic we First romantic critic. Socrates, Plato, Longinus. Who is known as the first romantic critic? The author of the author of On the Sublime, Longinus. Exactly. Spencer. No, Plato, no, Longinus is known as the first romantic critic who wrote the famous work on Sublime. Okay, Sublime. The first English playhouse called the theater. Okay, the theater was the first English playhouse. When was the first playhouse founded? That was in London. 1586, 1576, 1578, 1580. The first English playhouse is known as the theatre. Exactly. That was founded in 1576. Very good. Very good. Who was the first writer using blank verse in English drama? 1576. Very good. Blank verse. They have written collaboratively that was the author. Collaboratively they have written the work, that is Sackville and Norton. Sackville and Norton. Mimesis is the story, that is the representation. Aristotle. Thomas Sackville and first used blank verse in English drama, Thomas Sackville. Okay. Exactly. Who introduced the sonnet form to England? Subtitle. Yeah. Who introduced the sonnet form to England? Thomas Wade. Exactly. Chalo. Next question. Which one? Thomas Wade is actually. Halla Bolo. Is it? Halla Bolo in the Guava Orchard is a work by Kiran Desai. Kiran, what is the setting, Niharika? What is the setting of that novel, Halla Bolo in the Guava Orchard? Sir Thomas Waite and Henry Howard, that is, who is also who was actually Earl of Surrey. They are credited with introducing the sonnet form to English literature. So, Sir Thomas Waite is actually the right answer would be. Hmm. Village name Sahagat. Halla Bolo in the Guava Orchard. Exactly. Please watch the previous videos that I had made for CUTPG exam. That is Sahagat. It is said in the village Sahagat, state of Punjab. We have the protagonist of this novel, Sampath Chawla. Halla Bolo in the Guava Orchard, we have a protagonist called Sampath Chawla. It is actually based on real life story in which a man, that is Kapila Pradhan, okay, who lived up a tree for 15 years. For 15 years. study of sign is known as. The study of sign is known as. Study of sign. Study of sign is known as semiotic. Niharika and Shreyansi. Oh, very good. Now tell me the relationship between sign and signifier each. The relationship between sign and signifier each. Is it arbitrary? Yes or no? Arbitrary. Hmm. Very good. Now tell me, that is your question. Just a minute. Just a minute. The Calcutta chromosome, okay, is a work by. The Calcutta chromosome is a work by whom? The Calcutta chromosome is a work by 1996 novel. Calcutta chromosome is a work by Amitabh Ghosh. Important. So we have, that is the reference of Sir Ronald Ross. We have character called Murugan. We have character called Murugan. Hmm. Murugan calls himself Morgan from time to time, actually. Hmm. The English patient work by the English patient is a work by Michael, who wrote this English patient. Epigrammatic here. 1992 novel. The 1992 novel, The English Patient, is a 1992 novel. Its author Michael Ondarji, Sri Lankan born Canadian poet, fiction writer, and essayist. He also wrote In the Skin of a Lion. Okay. In the Skin of a Lion, The English Patient, these are all works by Michael Ondarji. Who are the characters that appear in Michael Ondarji's novel, that is The English Patient? Will you tell the characters from Michael Ondarji's novels, The English Patient? Do you remember? Almasi. Okay, Almasi is actually the title character, the English patient. Who is the English patient? Almasi. We have Hana, the titular character, that is Almasi, comes under Hana's care in Italy after being burnt in that war in Africa. Almasi is the titular character, the English patient. We have a nurse called Hannah who takes care Almasi. Hannah is actually a Canadian army nurse. A Canadian army nurse. D.H. Lawrence called one of his novels Thought Adventure. Which novel is which of this or which novel is that actually? Sorry. So D.H. Lawrence called one of his novels Thought Adventure. The White Peacock, Women in Love, Kangaroo, Rainbow. Which novel is that? And that novel also published in the year 1922 as well. Okay, I think. Uh, just a minute. Thought Adventure. D.H. Lawrence is calling his novels as Thought. No, that was 1923 it actually. Huh? Kangaroo. Kangaroo was the novel. It is not 1922. It was published in the year 1923. 1 year after T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland and James Joyce Ulysses. 1923. Okay. Hmm. Very good. Kangaroo is the right answer. Who was the founder of Bloomsbury Group? That was a literary club in England. Bloomsbury Group. Founder of Bloomsbury Group. Founder of Bloomsbury Group. Virginia Woolf, Krishna Rossetti, Edith Sitwell, Catherine Mansfield. Virginia Woolf. Huh. Virginia Woolf and those writers they were the name of the writers were actually Virginia Woolf, John Maynard Keynes, E.M. Foster, Vanessa Bell, Lytton Strachey as well. Hmm. So, hmm. The protagonists of kitchen sink dramas were often known as The Lost Generation, Angry Young Men, Avant-Garde, Media Race. The protagonists of the kitchen sink drama were often known as they're often known as what? Angry Young Men. Hmm. Angry Young Men. Hmm. What is arc writing and who used this arc writing? What is arc writing? Arc writing is actually to reorient the relationship between speech and writing. Who used this term? The principal figure of deconstruction, that is Jacques Derrida. Okay, arc writing is a term that is used by Jacques Derrida in his attempt to reorient the relationship between speech and writing. Hmm. Jacques Derrida. Remember that. Country Wife. Okay, the Country Wife is a comedy of manners. ARCHE. Arc writing. ARCHE. ARCHE. The Country Wife. Hi. An example of William, no, George Etheridge Strangsi. George Etheridge is famously known for the Man of Moat. William Wycherley is actually the country wife. George Etheridge, the Man of Moat. Got it? Chalo. Hmm. क्वेश्चन तो बहुत कुछ है. To Kill a Mockingbird. To Kill a Mockingbird is a work by To Kill a Mockingbird. Who wrote this work? To Kill a Mockingbird. It's a gothic novel. To Kill a Mockingbird. A southern gothic novel by Harper Lee. We have Atticus Finch. Exactly saying. Hmm. Dealing with serious issues like rape, racial inequality. Hmm. And also, it won him Pulitzer Prize a year after its release. Hmm. To Kill a Mockingbird. Harper Lee. Chalo. Which novel of D.H. Lawrence is autobiographical? Or name the autobiographical novel of D.H. Lawrence. D.H. Lawrence autobiographical novel. D.H. Lawrence Sons and Lovers. The characters of Sons and Lovers. We have Paul Morel. We have very good. Jartut Stein. Paul. Exactly. Jartut is the mother. Okay. Now we have a writer that is called Anthony Burgess. Clara Dawes. We have Anthony Burgess. He has written some work on authors like Shakespeare, then on Christopher Marlowe, on John Keats as well. Hmm. So, the lives of which of the following writers has been the subject matter of novels by Anthony Burgess? Milton. Satyam sir, good evening. The lives of which of the following writers has been the subject matter of novels by Anthony Burgess? I told you the options like Milton, Shelley, Marlowe, and Keats. You know that the novel that is called Nothing Like the Sun, that is based on Shakespeare. Write it down that the novel that is Nothing Like the Sun by Anthony Burgess is actually based on Shakespeare, whereas A Dead Man in Deadport is about or on Christopher Marlowe, whereas the novel called Abba Abba or Abba Abba like that. Okay, that is actually on John Keats. Yeah, like Abba Abba means father, so Abba Abba that is actually on John Keats. John Keats too. Exactly. Oh, east is east, and west is west, and never the twain can meet. Whose lines are these? A. E. Houseman, G.B. Shaw, Rudyard Kipling, and William Butler Yeats. Everyone knows this one, very easy one. A Rider to the Sea is actually one act play, three act play, two act play, four act play. Rudyard Kipling has written this line: "Oh, east is east, west is west." Everyone knows. Rudyard Kipling. Very good. Now, the tragic play, Riders to the Sea. Each one act play, two act play, three act play, four act play. We have who wrote this Riders to the Sea? That is actually, or what is the setting? What is the setting of Riders? James Inch. Setting. Nerika. One act play exactly. It is a one act play. Hmm. Hmm. Aran Island, like the Aran Island, na? Hmm. Island was that actually, and he also that was written in Hiberno English dialect. Remember that? The Riders to the Sea is actually written in uh, Hiberno English, Hiberno English dialect, Hiberno English dialect. ठीक है? The novel. What is the final novel by D. Lawrence? The final novel by D. Lawrence each. The final novel of D. Lawrence. Lady Chatterley's Lover. Huh. Hmm. Right. Everyone right here. Sransi, Niharika, Mahi, Nitu, everyone. Hmm. Just a minute. Sorry. The Spanish Tragedy by is a play. Who wrote this and when was it published or performed? The Spanish Tragedy. The Spanish Tragedy. Thomas Kidd. Huh. We have Thomas Kidd. Okay, we have actually another important work that is Silence the Court is in Session, published in 1967. Thomas Kidd. हाँ, शांत कोर्ट चालू है. That is Silence the Court is in Session. Who wrote this play? Who wrote this play? Silence the Court is in Session. Vijay Tendulkar. Very good. He also wrote like Ghasiram Kotwal. What is the other work of Vijay Tendulkar? The important one is Silence the Code is in Session. Ghasiram Kotwal, that was published in the year 1972. Whereas another important work that is actually Sakaram Bindar. Okay, three works. Exactly. Hmm. Hmm. And Sakaram Bindar is actually banned in India in 1974. Hmm. Wh- uh, which were the characters that is from your silence the code is in session? Silence the code is in session. Important characters from silence the code is in session. It is about a mock trial. Hmm. Our simple and straight Leela, exactly. Miss Leela Binary. It's a mock trial of a simple and straightforward school teacher, Miss Leela Binary. And she is actually charged with whom? She charged with infanticide and having illicit relation with a married professor, that is Professor Demley. Hmm. In this way, her private life is exposed in that play. Silence the code in session. Okay. Okay. The first novel of Chinua Achebe is published in 1958. Which one is the first novel by Chinua Achebe that is considered his magnum opus? Having the African trilogy. Things Fall Apart, No Longer Addis, Arrow of God. Things Fall Apart. And here the title has been taken from Things Fall Apart. From which poem? Things Fall Apart. The title of Chinua Achebe's novel has been taken from which works? Second Coming. Exactly, Second Coming of William Butler. It's the other novel of the trilogy that is No Longer Addis and Arrow of God. Very good. Very good. His other famous works are And Hills of the Savannah, then and also Man of the People. A Man of the People. A Man of the People as well. Hmm. A Man of the People. Ezra Pound. Ezra Pound is associated with which movement? Ezra Pound. Ezra Pound, T. Hume, Amy Lowell, H. Doolittle or Hilda Doolittle, Richard Aldington, William Carlos William, they were imagism. Imagism. Exactly. Chalo. Hmm. Hmm. The question that I am discussing now and in the previous days as well, all these questions actually I have earlier in my videos discussed, explained, each and every details have been discussed in my previous videos. So that's why I am not repeating that explanation. Actually, I am just trying to revise those things in a quick way, in a quick manner. That's why I am conducting actually oral mock test session so that I can or you can have that kind of revise those things very fast. Beat generation. The phrase was coined by whom? Beat generation. Yesterday I discussed that we have a poet that is Allen Ginsberg, which actually associated with beat generation. Now the phrase here, beat generation, is coined by whom? Jack Crow. Exactly, Niharika. Beat generation is the phrase that is coined by Jack Crow. in 1948. In 1948. Very good. What is hamartia and what is catharsis? What is hamartia? Hamartia means, what is hamartia? Hamartia means to make an error, tragic flaw, error. Okay, that is catharsis when you are past of emotion, purging of emotion, purgation of emotion. When you cry, when you laugh after watching any movie, that is catharsis. Hamartia is the tragic flaw. One is saying. Then we have also that is to err, that is to miss the mark, to miss the mark. Hamartia, to miss the mark, or to err, that means to make an error. Has come from the word Greek. And here tragic, that is hamartia was actually used by Aristotle in poetics. It is actually commonly understood to refer to the error that the protagonist makes, and that leads to a chain of action which culminate in reversal of events from felicity to disaster. That is the wrongdoing. And that is the purgation of those emotion is known as catharsis. Okay. क्वेश्चन तो बहुत कुछ है, बहुत लॉट ऑफ क्वेश्चन एक्चुअली. Let's hear. फर्स्ट 100 लाइन्स, चलो ये करते हैं. Are all alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. The opening line of which work is this? Or which novel is opening with this line? Happy families are all alike, and unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. Finian's Wake, then 100 Years of Solitude, Anna Karenina. Anna Karenina. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. George Orwell's work. Which work of George Orwell is actually beginning with this line, that is 1984. It was the best of time, it was the worst of time. Beginning line of which novel of Charles Dickens? A Tale of Two Cities. Once upon a time, huh, everyone right. Once upon a time, and a very good time, it was there was a macaw coming down along the road, and this macaw that was coming down along the road made a nice and little boy named Baby Taco. Which novel is beginning with this? Once upon a time and a very good time, it was there was a, that is James Joyce, a portrait of the artist The Young Man, where Stephen Dedalus appears. Hmm. Exactly. Now here we have I was either my father or my mother, or indeed both of them, as they were in duty both equally bound to it. Opening lines of which novel? I was either my father or my mother, or indeed both of them, as they were in duty both equally bound to it. That is the opening line of Lawrence Starnes Tristram Shandy. Hmm. Lawrence Starnes Tristram Shandy. And another important line, that is whether I shall turn out to be the hero of my own life, or whether that station will be held by anybody else. These pages must show which novel of Charles Dickens begins with these lines. Whether I shall turn out to be the hero of my own life, or whether that the station will be held by anybody else. These pages must show, that is David Copperfield. Hmm. Through the fence between the curling flower spaces, I could see them hitting. Which novel, which American novel is beginning with this line? Through the fence between the curling flower space, I could see them hitting. That is The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. Okay. Absurd beginning of the story here, like mother died today. Which work is actually beginning with this line, mother died today? That is the Albert Camus. Okay. Which work of Albert Camus begins with this line, that the stranger, exactly, Niharika, well done, mother died today. Hmm. Very good, Nitu, Mahi, Niharika. It was a pleasure to burn. It was a pleasure to burn. You have already understood. Bradbury's work. Which one is this? It was a pleasure to burn by Rob Bradbury's work, that is Fahrenheit 451. Fahrenheit 451. Fahrenheit 451. Exactly. Hmm. Okay. The autobiography of a steam engine. The autobiography of a steam engine uh, is a description that can be found in a novel of Dickens. Which novel was that? The autobiography of a steam engine in a novel of Dickens. Which novel is that? Dombey and Son. Okay, Dombey and Son, where we find the autobiography of a steam engine. Who is the main protagonist of Hard Times? It's not Hard Times. It is Dombey and Son. Hmm. Who is the main protagonist of Hard Times? And what is the opening line of Hard Times? Maybe, but the autobiography of steam engine can be found in the work, in the work, that is Dombey and Son. Gradgrind is Thomas Gradgrind is actually the protagonist of Hard Times. The Marriage of Heaven and Hell is a work by The Marriage of Heaven and Hell is a work by the poet and the printmaker. Hmm. That is William Blake. And okay, and you will see that that in this poem, that is the Marriage of Heaven and Hell, William Blake is claiming that John Milton was a true poet, and his epic poem Paradise Lost was of the devil's party without knowing it. And he also claims that Milton's Satan was truly his Messiah. Remember that in the Marriage of Heaven and Hell, here William Blake is claiming John Milton as that he was a true poet, and Paradise Lost was of the devil's party without knowing it. And he also claims that Milton Satan was actually truly his Messiah. And this work, that is the Marriage of Heaven and Hell, was actually composed during the French Revolution that took place in 1789. During the French Revolution that took place in 1789. And you see that the Marriage of Heaven and Hell is actually also a kind of ironic reference. Yeah, he's also making irony to Immanuel Swedenborg's work, that is Heaven and Hell. Heaven and Hell. Hmm. The Marriage of Heaven and Hell is actually an ironic reference to Immanuel Swedenborg's work Heaven and Hell. So Heaven and Hell is a work by Immanuel Swedenborg, whereas the Marriage of Heaven and Hell by whom? By William Blake. I hope you have understood. On to the last. Okay, it's a work by On to the last is a work by an plea request for social justice. On to the last. You know that? On to the last. By whom? By John Ruskin. Very good. And also, uh, which Indian social activist come writer was heavily influenced by this work of John Ruskin, that is exactly Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi actually heavily influenced by this work. Hmm. And to this last had a very important impact on Mahatma Gandhi. Yes, Shreyank, pathetic fallacy was also coined by John Ruskin. Remember that pathetic fallacy was coined by John Ruskin. Okay. You see that yesterday I discussed that Parsons' tale was also, which is the other tale that is actually also written in prose. That is the tale of Melivi or tale of Melibus. Okay, I'll be continuing. Don't worry. The tale of Melivi or the tale of Melibus is the other one that actually was in prose. And this is the second tale in the collection told by Chaucer himself. Chaucer himself told that the tale of Melivi, the tale of Melibush. Got it? Past and Present is a collection of essays on contemporary England. Past and Present is a work that is on contemporary England. It's a British historical academic journal that time. If I talk about, we have also a journal called Past and Present, but the work Past and I'm talking about present actually. I'm talking about the work Past and Present, not the journal. Past and Present by Thomas. Past and Present by Thomas Carlyle. Hmm. That is actually a collection of essays on contemporary England. Hmm. Caesar and Cleopatra is a work, is a play by which writer? Caesar and Cleopatra. Caesar and Cleopatra is a play by whom? The author of Pygmalion. Caesar and Cleopatra is a play by G.B. Shaw. Hmm. Hog Roasting is a poem by Hog Roasting. Hmm. Hog Roasting is a poem by Hog Roasting. That is why Ted Hughes or Dylan Thomas. Which one? Ted Hughes or Dylan Thomas? Hog Roasting. Very important poem. Ted Hughes or Dylan Thomas? Who wrote this? Ted Hughes. Hmm. Very, very important. What was the subtitle of Prelude by Wordsworth? Subtitle of the work, The Prelude, which is actually an autobiographical poem that was written in blank verse by William Wordsworth. The Prelude has a subtitle. What is the subtitle of the Prelude? That is Growth of a Poet's Mind. Growth of a Poet's Mind, an autobiographical poem. Exactly. That was written in blank verse. It was intended as the introduction of the poem, the more philosophical poem, that is Recluse, which Wordsworth never finished. Which Wordsworth never finished. So, growth of a poet's mind. C.C. Juve is a character in Dickens' which work? Tomorrow I'll be hoping make videos on literary criticism and theory. Okay, and women writers like feminism as well. Feminism. Okay. He was a character from Dickens' Hard Times. Hmm. We have English Chaucerians, we have Scottish Chaucerians, we have Lake Poets, we have that is University Wits. So please remember the writers, name of the writers who are actually associated with those movements. Okay, Pyrrhon poets. Spencer's Astrophel. Okay, is an elegy on whom? Spencer Astrophel is an elegy on whom? Very good. That is on actually Sydney, on Philip Sydney. Very good. Who wrote the book Road to Xanadu that influenced Samuel Taylor Coleridge to write the poem Kubla Khan? The book Road to Xanadu. The Road to Xanadu is actually a work by J.L.L. Lewis. Kubla Khan was actually Samuel Taylor Coleridge was influenced by that work when he wrote Kubla Khan. Samuel Taylor Coleridge was actually influenced by Road to Xanadu that was written by J.L. Lewis when he was writing Kubla Khan. I'll be ending the session here. Uh, Tomorrow I'll be continuing with that. I hope you have enjoyed the session here. I think it's feeling boring because without any explanation, without any PPT, it seems like that. I can also understand, but I don't have enough time to make PPTs now. That's why I'm not preparing PPT and conducting oral mock test session. And I hope that this time, okay, you don't need any kind of explanation or like that. Just revise the things, practice it very fast. A lot of questions. You don't have enough time, so keep it up. Hmm. Or tomorrow I'll be joining. Just 1 second. Only hard work. So you can see only hard work and smart work. Chalo. Good night, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for watching this session. We'll be joining tomorrow 1 second after 10 o'clock in the evening. Okay.